What's up, GT gang? Welcome back to the channel, and I'm hyped. We have the light set up in the shed, and I could not be happier. Obviously, it's a giant mess, but right here in the mess, in the rubble, we have the 5.7 turned into a 6.1 Hemi laying underneath this tarp. And tonight, we're actually going to start putting it together. I have less than 3 days to get this thing driving. So, that being said, let's quit talking and get to building. Let's get it. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do, grab my brake cleaner. You guys, hopefully you can see this. There we go. So, grab my brake cleaner, kind of just clean the area. We're putting in the main bearings, so make sure you get... I only have one can of this stuff, so I gotta make it last. Alright. So now I'm going to take towel, wipe off where the bearings will sit, and throw on the main bearings. I have Mally. I got these from O'Reilly's.com. They were actually able to send them me overnight. They were able to send these to me. So just a little tip when you're installing main bearings. The side with the hole actually faces towards the block. That way oil can come from the main oil galley through the bearing, lubricate the crankshaft journals. And yeah, it's about as simple as that. I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. You also have to be leery of your thrust washers, and I'll get to that when I get there. Go ahead and fill these in and get to the next step. Alright everybody, so without letting you guys know, I just threw the pistons and connecting rods together. It's literally as simple as throwing the wrist pin through and snapping the C-rings in. It's kind of a B-word to snap them in, but once you get the hang of it, you kind of start them on this end, walk them around and push them in with, like, I use this little pick. Just be careful. I almost stabbed myself in the thumb. But I'm going to go ahead and start installing these, but first, we'll make sure you have a decently large piston ring compressor, because these are over a 4-inch bore, and I've seen it multiple times where a piston ring compressor just wasn't big enough. So make sure your piston ring compressor is big enough. What we're going to do to prep the block for install, we're going to lubricate the rod journals on the actual crankshaft, and then we will clean the cylinder with brake clean. And obviously we'll have to separate the rod at the cap, remove the bolts, so hopefully those aren't torqued extremely tight. But as far as that goes, it's pretty simple. We got to make sure we put on our rod bearings before we install, of course. But yeah, I'll throw you guys on the time lapse and go from there. guys, so it's a really long time lapse that I had to edit, but we've got half of a rotating assembly installed. I'm just going to leave this up a little bit. WD-40 is almost out. Bear with me. Anyway, this is honestly one of the easiest turning. Ooh, of course, after that one it wasn't. But so far it's been very, very easy turning. I'm turning this by hand. I don't even have to have the crank bolt in yet. So everything's been pretty smooth so far. I did the left bank of, well, the driver's side bank of cylinders. Now I'm going to flip it over and then do 2 through 8. So pretty straightforward. It's like 10 o'clock right now. I've been going about this for about 3-4 hours. So we're making pretty decent progress, guys. I wouldn't say slow and steady, but it's about the pace I'd like to be at. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over and get started on the other bank. Alright guys, this is the last piston getting pushed into the block. It's about 11 o'clock at night. There it is. Nice and easy. I only had one fight me pretty much the entire time, so not too shabby. There it is. Alright everybody, that is going to do it for me tonight. I am tired and I gotta work in like 6 hours, 8 hours, 7 hours. Somewhere along those lines. Hey guys, we actually got the auto parts stores to come in through Clutch with us. Again, don't mind the mess. We are moving. It is what it is. I'm not ashamed at all. But anyway, we have some high temp gasket maker. I really like to use the gray stuff around like the water pump because when you rub it flush, you won't see that it's there. As well as some thread sealant for like a few of the plugs, like the coolant plugs, etc. So this stuff works really good. It's up to 400 degrees, prevents leakage, and prevents some rusting on the threads. So I recommend this stuff. This Permatex makes a good thread sealant. So these are head bolts, if I did not mention that. But head bolts I got from Advanced Auto Parts, and then the other set was from O'Reilly. So luckily they're both Velcro. I definitely would like to go the Malley because the Malley is the one that I sent off with the machine shop to use the torque plates on. But I forgot to reorder them. So this is kind of the route that I have to take. Obviously I have to have this thing running in 2 days now. So I have to get whatever I can get my hands on. So we're going to go ahead, turn the engine over, install the pickup tube with the oil pan, and actually I have to lift up the engine with the engine hoist, install the rear main seal, and then we can install the oil pan. So actually, we're actually really far from the oil pan now that I think about it. We have to still do cam, timing cover, and the rear main seal, and then we can install the oil pan. So it's kind of weird how that works because the oil pan seals against the timing cover as well as the rear main seal. So you can't install the oil pan until like one of the last things. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. One of the first things we're going to do is do the front cover, timing, and lift it off the engine stand, install the rear main seal, and then we're ready to start putting the top end together. Okay, so this is not a comp cams cam. This is my factory 6.1 cam that was cleaned up from the machine shop. Cam install tool. And the first thing we're going to do today is install the camshaft. So lubricate the shit out of it. I'm using this Ultra Slick Permatex. Really, really good sticky stuff. Basically, I'm going to completely douse it in that and slowly push it in. And once it's in, we'll start doing timing and oil pump. And then we are able to put on the pickup tube as well as timing cover, things like that nature. So I'll throw you guys on a time lapse and we'll just see where we get. Alright guys, so the cam is installed, and now what I'm going to do is get out my timing set and then show you guys exactly how I'm going to throw that in. Alright. So as we can see, this is our book. We have the dowel pointing straight up with the top timing mark at the top and the 2 lower timing marks at the bottom, and our crank cog is at 2 o'clock on the crank. So that's exactly how we're going to install it. We'll go ahead and brake clean everything and then lube it up, throw it on, and torque everything to spec. Okay, so it looks like the tensioner assembly and mounting bolts are 250 inch-pounds, and we have the cam sprocket bolt at 90 foot-pounds. And then once we have that torqued, we'll remove the tensioner pin, which is right here. So we'll go ahead and do that and go to the next step. All right, guys, that concludes it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. I'm going to try to ramp out these videos quick so that you guys can see the end of this kind of series. So, because this is a few months past us putting it together that I'm shooting this outro. So I hope you guys like the video. Stay tuned, because I am going to be ramping out some of this content very soon. Peace.